Okay, good afternoon. I'm checking the sound right now. Okay, good afternoon. I'm checking. All right, so I didn't hear no feedback. I think I checked that from the last time I was here. Let me go down, let me go down, let me go down. All right. All right, I won't worry about my chat action or anything else for a minute. I'm just waiting to get to my regular 9 people so that I could begin my commentary. Today is going to be really laid back and relaxed because I'm in a really laid back and relaxed mode. But in order to keep the demons out of here, oh, hold up, wait a minute. Let me get to my other. I just gotta deal up my tarot cards around here because these people be doing too much. Let me test my emojis. Let me test my emojis. Oh, where they at? These things be killing me. Oh, this is my favorite one. Y'all not gonna see it because I'm not on cam. It's only gonna be shown when I'm on cam. It's for me to see. What's up, Karen? I got my little emojis on there. I know you can't see it unless I go on cam. Let me do that again. I just I be wondering how they be spamming the chat with this stuff. All right, hold up a minute. I just wanna be. Yeah, I ain't got no common sense today. I just love it. Loving it. So they done went and turned on their screen recorders and everything else. All right. The last time I was here, I'm just shuffling my deck. The last time I was here, I was a little bit disturbed. A few things was going on, but we're gonna see how that turns out today. The magician reverse. Just keeping that male energy away from me. The magician in reverse. Okay. So the last time I was here, it was the day after there was a shooting on the Vegas Strip. And I came out here and I didn't give any opinions direct. I didn't give you any of my direct opinions on the matter. But if it's live streamed, I shall be following this as one of my cases that the 14th juror, I will be the 14th juror in the situation. So I'm definitely going to follow the case because it hits home. Mo, what do you mean by it hits home? It hits home because one is a content creator and hold on a second. One is the content creator, and two, the reasons why, or it involves content creators here on the YouTube, and it definitely relates to the policies or the policies that need to be corrected here on the YouTube. A couple years ago, there was a group of people on this YouTube who took it upon themselves to generate a change.org petition alleging that there were content creators on this in their space that they were engaging with that needed to be removed from the platform because they was engaging in harassment. All right. It's funny that today, uh, so let me first talk about that petition and why it was fruitless. And the reason why it was fruitless is because it had no intended audience. So I too shared that petition on its face value, believing that it stood for something. And then when I looked into it more and really read it, and I came back and I said, hey, here's my opinion of that petition. It has no merit because it has no audience. It's just something that was put together by a group of people in furtherance of bullying themselves. So just imagine this. You got one set of people saying that they've been bullied by another set of people, and they go out and they take a petition to 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 make people believe that, hey, you sign on to this petition with me, we're going to be able to take down the people that are bullying us, only when they themselves are bullies themselves. And here in 2025, I can give you real life examples of them being bullies, but I'll have to save it for another show. But it's just an example. It's just one of my four instances as to why YouTube needs to crack down on the behavior, because you will have people on here telling you that the other person is the bully when they themselves are the bully. It's like the bullies crying wolf on the bullies. And the people that are truly being bullied by those people, they're the ones who have to take a step back and figure out what they are going to do and how they will react or not react, how they will respond or not respond if they don't want to continue the cycle. Because let's face it, the reason why people bully people on here is because they want you to respond to it so they can do some more bullying. We see it in many of the conversations that take place. In this incident with the Vegas, in the Vegas community, you had two streamers. The one who was the one who was fatally I'm gonna call him the decedent, which is Finley and his wife. And then you have the one who engaged in the final execution of them, which is Manny. When I looked at the situation and evaluated it, I'm just like, this is so sad. First, Manny is being charged with murder. I've heard people refer to it as open murder. Of course, every state has their own way of prosecuting things, and they have their own statutes that they come up. But in simple terms or layman terms, it's murder, right? It's when you take the life of somebody else intentionally or with malice. It's normally their top charge. I don't really see this as being a murder case or a murder charge. Um, the DA has stated that if the proper paperwork is presented to them, they may consider this as a capital crime. And the capital crime is murder that's attached to the death penalty, right? Um, and people strongly believe because it was a double homicide that it should be categorized as a capital crime. I don't agree with that either. I see this as being still a murder, manslaughter type level um, murder. And the reason why I say that is because There was definitely intent to take out the person. Let me just go to the language because I don't want to state it wrong. It's not a matter of really stating it wrong. It's really stating how I feel about it. I feel like the Finleys engaged with cyberbullying onto the Manny person, and the Manny person lost it and took out the Finleys. And the Finleys weren't expecting him to take them out on the streets, but they were sitting up here ready to take him out on the YouTube streets. See, they didn't think that the YouTube streets would transcend into the real into your real everyday, like you ain't gonna be breathing no more. I had looked up depraved indifference. So I'm just gonna give you the terminology for depraved indifference, which is really when somebody kills somebody, it takes it to a different level than being like than being reckless or just being with malicious intent. So depraved indifference refers to a state of mind where a person acts with an utter disregard for the value of human life. So people would say that's a little bit more stringent, Monica. But how did he get to that place, right? This is when you have pushed somebody. Some states have this charge that has to do with in passion, right? Normally, it's for people who don't premeditate um, a murder, but or there's no premeditation, but still they're gonna they're going to take out the other person, but it's in the heat of passion. And when I look at this situation and how it escalated throughout the time, I see it as being equivalent to being in the heat of passion. Let me just tell you like this. If they could take the Diddy charges, which are Sean John Combs case, and tell us that this is sex trafficking, when we know sex trafficking to be taking people without their will and having them perform sex acts, and you get paid off of their sex acts, that's the traditional meaning of sex trafficking. And to convert it and flip it and tell us it's the job, it is sex trafficking now, is when a group of people agree to engage in real life porn with the sex affixed to it for a payment, and the only person that's getting the benefit of the payment is all the characters that are engaging in the sex act, the commercial sex act. And you want to tell us that that's a crime, and you're putting it out there as if one. I see this case right here to be the same, and I can understand or relate to it. So I honestly feel like it should be like a voluntary manslaughter charge because he did it, but there has to be something related to it's in it was passion. Because when you've been provoked and people have antagonized you for so long, there's going to be a response. The Manny the Manny person had a YouTube channel that was his income. And because of the rules and the way that YouTube has this, the other channel, which is the Finley channel, ganged up with the subscribers to his channel, and they took out or were in the process of taking out the Manny channel. So they weaponized the YouTube policies and rules to take out this creator from doing his creation. Here's the thing that I haven't been able to really go down that road. But most people that were subscribed to the Manny channel, the Sin City Fam channel, they say and report that Although he had these skirmishes with the Finleys in the street, that he maintained putting out the content that he has been putting out since COVID times, wherein the Finley channel converted based on the audience that he converted his content to content that was antagonistic of the Sin City Fam channel. He changed his own identity to become a Sin City Fam channel himself, and all of his content was surrounding, or let's just say all of his content was surrounding his engagement with Manny, and maybe he spoke on other things because they were live streams that lasted for 5 and 6 hours. If you look at our current environments, we know it streams today where my channel sits at today, where people just sit here and sit on the thing and antagonize, live stream and antagonize people for hours, engaging in the same type of behavior that these two content platforms engaged in. This the Finley channel sit up here and took up or received a lot of material against the Manny channel. He doxed him. He did the most. Should he have been executed for it? Absolutely not. But he engaged in the most common to the YouTube platform behavior that now there's been a consequence and people want to call in law enforcement. Now, what they did say is that the Finley channel did engage law enforcement and was in the process of getting some charges pressed, or some charges brought against the Manny channel for the groping that Manny did to him in a public space. It was documented on the streams. Some people say that they was in the process of getting those same, because I only heard of one complaint against Manny, or one type of complaint, but it had to do with an incident that occurred on the Vegas Strip. But it was in the other place, the Fremont area, and that had to do with the pepper spray. So I would have to see the paperwork to see exactly which incident it was, but they had two physical encounters before this third encounter. And a lot of people look at it and they was like, why would you sleep on somebody that you've already had two physical encounters with? The first one where they maced you, but there was contact because the wife had contact with Manny and hit him, and then his wife got into it and hit back the Finley woman. But that seems so old. That to me was an incident that everyone says happened October 2023. So I can't really see a police department still investigating or about to take out some charges on somebody for that pepper spray incident. So I really think that if there were any charges that were going to be pressed, it would have been for the groping incident where he squished his butt or whatever. But here's something that I was thinking about when I was thinking about, what if he never, Finley, that is, never actually filed those charges or went to pursue it or was following through on it? Or what if the Manny guy, hearing that and say, if you're going to come and get me for that, I'll give you some more reasons to come and get me. This is what happens when you continue to antagonize folks. It doesn't never stop. Is it the correct thing? No. But it's an unfortunate state that we're in when you can't control somebody else's reaction to the things that you do to harass, intimidate another person. So I'm going to definitely add that to one of my court cases that I'm going to follow this year because it is significant. I'm also going to be looking out to see how YouTube or if YouTube changes any of its policies as it relates to one, that copyright strike situation against channels that have already been here. I really think YouTube needs to go back to having some kind of human review of the complaints. Even if it's randomized, they need to have some human review because it's AI review of a complaint with AI writing a lot of the respondents' submissions today. You will never really crack down on the issues that are at large unless you put some human eyes to it. And that's what the problem is with some of this, with how YouTube is structured, using their AI and all their digital features to figure out and navigate the environment. They need really on the looking in on these platforms. It's just it's crazy how you can push somebody into danger and then you watch with your own eyes a person go. I can't imagine what it must feel like to be a supporter of the Finley channel, knowing that you contributed to the discord that was out there, which ultimately resulted in the YouTube personality losing, now being a decedent. It's crazy. It's just crazy to me. Um, I am going to, because recently on my panel, I had somebody on one of my live streams threatening other people and telling other people, like, especially told me, you don't know what you're talking about because you live in New York and I live in a different state. And this is, uh, watch very closely because you're about to see what happens when you feel like you've been wronged and you decide to shoot people in broad, well, it wasn't broad daylight, but on a city street because you done told them to show up and all that other that stupidity that I heard here a couple weeks ago on my own platform. Although it wasn't directed at me, it was directed at other people. I was just like, what is wrong with folks that they feel that they're going to be justified later on with what they do? I didn't see Manny in the videos that I saw of his because his channel has been taken down and I haven't been able to corroborate some of the stories that I heard. But people that have come out and spoken on behalf of the Finleys, they also have to admit, just being honest, right, that Manny's channel didn't engage in the same back and forth. Something pushed it over the top. Now, people say that he was very territorial on the Manny character was very territorial on the on filming in certain areas where he was at. I heard it two different ways so far. I heard from one perspective was that Manny didn't want himself to be recorded and people coming to the YouTube and putting his what his creative stuff onto the YouTube. So he didn't want to be recorded. Um, and I also heard from another perspective is that he didn't want anybody recording in the space. without having more information or more details, I just have to be like, I'm waving on both sides of that. But um, yeah, I have to see more. I'm more leaning to he didn't want to be recorded because he was trying to hold on to his intellectual property. And his intellectual property was how he was making a living. And sometimes when you take away a person's ability to make a living because you keep harassing them and taunting them, they will respond in a certain way. Um, and it's a serious consequence that he's facing. Let me just look up that. Oh, sudden heat of passion. Texas is infamous for having the sudden heat of passion. That does fall under voluntary manslaughter. And I think this is my research from in Nevada, there is a charge of voluntary manslaughter. This occurs when an intentional killing happens during the sudden heat of passion due to adequate provocation, where the passion made the act irreversible. The key here is that the killing was intentional, but the intent was formed in a moment of intense emotional distress. That's what I think is the appropriate charge in this situation. And if you hear anything about any kind of plea deals, they're going to start on that level with wanting that charge based on what we saw happen, the footage that we saw. Oftentimes in these court cases, what we see prosecutors do is that they overcharge and hope that they get the lower charge in it, that the jurors take look at the evidence and consider the high charge, but may settle for a lower charge. So they throw all these charges out there. That wouldn't be his only charge. The voluntary manslaughter will probably be for the husband. The woman, I think he could get self-defense because we did see her have something in her hand. And being that he shot the husband, it is fair to say that somebody might want to shoot him, the wife, if she had had a weapon. So I think that's a little bit interesting on her case. And then there's going to be if he had, I don't feel so in her situation, I feel like it's justifiable homicide. Um, which is hard to say because people are looking at it like, oh my goodness, he shot a woman. And I don't really see her to be quite, besides what happened when they was in the street, all the streams that I viewed so far, I really didn't see his wife as a participant on the live streaming. I didn't see his wife participating in the antagonistic behavior that the husband was participating in. Um, those are all possibilities, but that's my overview for now based on the information that I have. When we move into actually seeing how the case is adjudicated, then I'll just go back into doing what I normally do, and that's just looking at the evidence that's presented and see where it sends us. But because this is, I want to really say personal to me, because I've been on this YouTube space with people threatening me. I've been in this YouTube space with people doing things that I consider to be egregious acts of harassment. Something that I keep forgetting to mention when I speak on harassment. Harassment is not what the person engaging in the behavior, it's not how they take what they're doing as what it is. It's the recipient of your aggression, how they receive it. Harassment is all about how you make the person feel. You could very well believe that you are not engaging in harassment, but your acts could make another person feel as if they're being harassed. That's why harassment charges are so fragile, because it's really how the person on the receiving end of your behavior receives it, how they take it. It may not even have to deal with your intent. That's why the levels of it is, it's not a felony. That's why it's mostly a misdemeanor. It's not something to take away your freedom forever or take away your liberty, but it is something to help redirect inappropriate behavior. It's a shame that 40-year-olds today, 50-year-olds, middle life people, you have to have conversations with them about engaging socializing with people appropriately. It's disheartening. Folks keep blaming it on the social space and that we got these apps that you can have these communications with folks, and it's a contributing factor. The bottom line is a lot of folks are broken, and you get out here in this free space without there being any kind of guidance, and you get to see exactly how broken they are. Um, you can't heal some people, and that's it. And coming to this space is not gonna help. It's not gonna help it. The ability to cut off somebody's livelihood by filing false copyright claims, that should not be permitted. And YouTube should really look into that. And the video that's alarming to me is the one where you see Finley there and he's making um gestures like, this person is so crazy, he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that, insinuating that you know that you keep poking the bear. That's crazy. That's just crazy to me. The Finley channel started out being a boxing channel, talking about boxing and sports and everything. Out of, maybe this dispute could have been handled in a different manner. Somebody suggested that they could have boxed it out. When other people heard that suggestion, they was like, impossible, because of height and just the height of Finley, how tall he was, and his structure compared to Manny. The same way people think that they couldn't have boxed it out is the same reason Manny is going to say he needed that gun to defend himself. I listen to arguments that people make, and I ask myself all the time, do they hear what they're saying in the reverse? Taking it from the other person's perspective. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'll cover this as I said. I will be back. I'm still editing my video. Um, for my part 2, I ain't forget about you. But you know, like I said, my creator is a powerful, it's just a powerful spirit inside of me. And it stopped me last Sunday from streaming because I needed to really think about how I was going to put out the part 2. I'm still doing part 2, no matter what they did over there this week that I didn't have a chance to look at, because I think the part 2 is critical information for folks to process on what happened when the woman came on my platform and had the conversation. So I'm definitely going to come back out there with that. Then so I'll put another date on it, but I have to edit the video I have to edit some parts of the discussion out that involve other YouTubers, other content creators, and their platforms because one, I know that folks get triggered on here when you go back in time. They want to feel like you about to talk about some old stuff and trigger them. So I'm trying my best to not trigger people who I don't have the time or day for right now. So I'm making sure I take that information out and how I display it in a way that people know that that is removed. And then that's that. Second agenda items is going to be Alethea. I'm going to do a documentary for Alethea because one, I believe I need to memorialize my experience here on the YouTube. And the reason why I need to memorialize it is because there are storylines here that I got integrated, entwined, incorporated into. In the Alethea story, I was part of it for a period of time. And I heard somebody I don't know, misrepresent why I was there, how I was there, when I got there. Like, so rather than continue with the back and forth, so you have to think smarter now. You got people executing people in the street over content that turns into a back and forth. Rather than doing that, I'm going to just put out a documentary that tells the story of how I got involved in the 10,000K situation, why I asked to help when helping be overwhelmed me, and I was removed from the situation or I removed myself. However, which way you want to tell that part of the story. My last communication with Alethea in an open format and why I'm at peace today. So I just think that the best way to capture that is by me creating a documentary. It is not going to change the false narratives that people make out here because people, no matter how much you give them the facts, they are going to spin it for their own self-serving purposes. So it's not to negate somebody else's opinion, it is to document mine. And it's one of those films that it's one of those things that I'm going to put together that is going to withstand my test of time being here on the internet because I am creating a digital will on how I want this channel to be dissolved in my time of when I pass because I don't want it's just some things I don't want. Um and it's a conversation that you need to think about in real time about your passing. The same way we have a will, or you should have a will for your personal life, you should have a digital will for this YouTube space. And I'm working on that. And there are some things that will be here beyond my time. So just so you know, that documentary on Alethea, I'm going to list it. That is to stay on this channel until her untimely passing because I don't need it once she's no longer here. And if I'm already gone, then it only needs to stay here for as long as she's here. It's my story, and I'm going to tell it the way I want it to be told or how I want it to resurface. Because when people can come out here and just call you out of the blue and get you to come on a platform and talk to them, it's like, are we thinking here? Hello, what are we doing? When does this all end? The situation with Alethea is I tried to help somebody who other folks that couldn't be helped. And that's about it. But to hear another person tell me that I misled the community in her redeeming money, that's not true. And why would you put that out here? That's a bold-faced lie. Period. Period. But people get to do whatever they want up here because the goal is to antagonize you so that you would do a response to it. And then they get to get another go round at you. It's easy to ignore it, but it's wrong if the facts can speak for itself. So I'm just going to go through that time period and evidence the conversations that we had during that period of time that was for the YouTube. I can't help it that somebody, Karen, is replaying a 3-year-old video. And 3 years ago, she said something to the effect. I'm not even gonna repeat it because what she said in the video is not what was regurgitated out here last week. She didn't say anything about not believing that somebody was real and go tap Monica to find out if a person is real. What she said was what she always says about people engaging in fraudulent activities here on the YouTube, otherwise known as scams. And she gave her opinion on what she believed could have been a scam. And she gave her insight on what she saw as, from her perspective, on what she believed to be scams. That somebody just doesn't lose $10,000 out here unless they're trying to get $10,000 and some for themselves. That's her opinion. And you've got to learn the difference between an opinion and a fact. But no one said that somebody didn't exist. But that's what the person came back with. And other people, because their content is dried up, they decided to go and pull this person in to have that discussion. So I'm going to come out with a documentary. So the next time that discussion comes up ever again, people can see my honest efforts to assist how helping folks on this YouTube can go wrong. Because that's just the bottom line is people want you to stand up for them because they can't stand up for themselves. And they will use anybody to be their supplemental voice at that time because they can't or they don't know what they're doing. And if another voice comes along that's louder than the voice that they got supplementing theirs for right now, they will definitely jump that person in. You have to determine for yourself what disputes, what things you want to engage in. Everything is not healthy content out here. Every person doesn't mean you well out here either. We come into this space and we meet people and they sell us their storyline. And we either believe it. We want to think the best of somebody. We want to believe that this person is in good standing with me. Only to find out when, what kind of day they call it? When D-Day shows up. You get to see a person for what they truly stand for and how they truly feel about you. It's not what a person, in my opinion and how I view things, it's not what a person says to me. Because you can tell me that you like me till you blue in the face. It's what a person shows me. And how they show me that they like me is more memorable and has more weight than what they say. Because I've seen a lot of people tell you how much they care about you, and then, oh, it's Mad Day. They say when Mad Day comes. When Mad Day comes, you get to see how they truly felt about you and everything that they've done. It's unfortunate, but it is the truth. And that's what we're dealing with. So I've got enough videos here to document what has happened to me on here without having to engage any further in back and forth on situations that do not matter. Going down to a police station in 2019 and still talking about it in 2025 is pointless. That is just so pointless. Like, that's like 6 years later. You got to be kidding me. But people want to do it, and they have done it, and that's it. I mean, it's definitely a learning experience that I've been, it's definitely a learning experience. Anyway, today's broadcast was brought to you by the M and the O. Mo, mo, mo. I'll see y'all on the backside with my documentaries and my edited out videos. Be careful on these YouTube streets. Do not let anybody take your joy or take you to the point. Do not end up like the Vegas folks. This drama here is not worth it. That's all I have to say about protecting one's peace. I've learned a long time ago that that's what I was going to endeavor to do, was protect my peace on these streets. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.